Hello and welcome back to Coach's Corner. This is a podcast designed for professional coaches looking to develop themselves in the fitness industry and improve their one-to-one coaching business. In this episode, I am joined by special guest Seth Moran, and we discuss transparency in the fitness industry. Now, Seth is a very successful personal trainer and he is based out of GymBox Elephant and Castle. I met Seth during the GymBox recruitment process and now we work together at GymBox. And we were discussing the other day about, about his competitions, because Seth competes in bodybuilding. We were discussing like prep for the competitions. We got into discussion about steroids, and then we started talking about transparency in the fitness industry. And we thought this would make a great episode on the podcast, and it'll be an episode that a lot of people are interested in. So Seth has agreed to come on, so let's bring him on. There he is. Hello, Steph. How are you, mate?
Hi, mate. You alright? Good, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks
I'm
for having
good,
me.
Good. Yeah, it's good to have you on. Right, Seth, so like I said in the intro, we got talking about this subject at GymBox, and we thought, let's come on, let's talk about, steroids, let's talk about the fitness industry in general, let's talk about transparency and just go from there and just kind of give some advice and some, views because you've got experience within that area. So let's start the podcast off by talking about your journey. So just so people can get a context of you, like what you've done, what you competed in, your learnings, and then we'll go on to supplements and stuff from there. So you started your bodybuilding journey back in 2016, right?
2016.
You competed in a natural bodybuilding competition. So let's talk about that. Talk about like how you got into that, your journey, your like processes, things you learned.
Technically, it wasn't a natural bodybuilding competition. I think it was open to everyone, but I competed in my first one as a natural athlete. I'd been training for 12 years prior to that before I decided to step into competing.
Is this something you always wanted to do?
No, it was probably a couple of years prior. I'd really stepped up my training. I'd really got into it. A few people said I should compete. I didn't think much of it. I didn't think stepping on the stage in front of thousands of people would something I wanted to do. Eventually a bodybuilder at my gym said it, and I thought, wow, okay, if he said it, then maybe I'm onto something here. Also, it was a time in my life where I wanted to step out of my comfort zone,
right? Okay,
and push my career a bit more. So first competition, 2016.
You said an open competition, because there's no.
Well, it wasn't tested. It wasn't tested. No, the natural federations are quite stringent in their testing. This didn't have any, but you could say it wasn't. It was a kind of a relatively entry level federation. And obviously there are tiers of federations above that, which I moved on to.
Won that your first.
I won that one, yeah. And actually, it was a concern of mine that I would come stone dead last.
Right. Yeah.
It was first of all, I don't want to embarrass myself in front of friends, family, and colleagues. But the other thing is, I'm going to come stone dead last here, but I just want the experience because I thought everyone would be on it. And I won.
Well, I was talking to Doxy about this in a podcast I've done 2 weeks ago. We was talking about when it comes to competing in sport, whatever that sport looks like, whether it's a bodybuilding competition, a rugby game, CrossFit competition, a triathlon. The day that you compete, you expose yourself, you set yourself up. Some vulnerability comes with that, right? You're showing yourself off on a day, whatever that sport looks like, and it's a good thing to do because that massively puts you outside of your comfort zone.
Massively, yeah.
But that's one of the best things about sport.
Yeah.
So you was competing naturally 2016, 2017, I think you said. What was your prep leading up to that? So you was working with a coach, I take it.
The prep was months long. I think I hired my coach in December, and the comp was in April.
Right.
So I was being prepped for the first time by a coach for quite some time, which is pretty standard nowadays. But I've never been coached before. Very strict diet. Super strict. I mean, you know, what we'd say is super clean. One cheat meal a week,
Right.
and then so that was quite a shock to the system. Training routine was tough, but I'd already been well into training anyway, so it's more the diet part of it that pushed me out of my comfort zone. So he was tasked with obviously getting me stage ready, but also the category was under 75 kilos.
Right.
So it was a lot of fasted cardio. I remember waking up 4:30 every morning to get to work to do fasted cardio on cross trainer
Before your clients.
Before my client at 7, and then finishing about 7 or 8 at night.
Long days.
Yeah, go home, meal prep. Long days, but absolutely taught me to be. I've never lost a degree of discipline since. Or I can always get it back fairly quick.
Once you've been to an extreme of discipline, sometimes you just need to step it down. If you've been at the top level of discipline, step it down a little bit. It's still way ahead of what normal people do.
Yeah. So look, every show I did after that was easy.
Right. Okay.
I'd say the prep was easy.
Yeah. That was your biggest challenge, initial one. Okay. So then you competed for a while, and then this is why we're on this chat, because we wanted to talk about what happened next, your next step. So you felt. The way you worded it to me, you kind of reached your potential, your genetic potential
limit
at that time, and you wanted to step up to the next competition, which was men's physique, right? Your next level in men's physique.
Yes.
So you discussed everything with your coach, and then you decided to go a different route.
Go down the enhanced route. So this was fitness model category.
Right.
And men's physique is the next step up. So everyone's clear on home. So everybody's clear. Everybody that's watching is clear on the categories. It was fitness modeling, fitness model category. Then I wanted to step up to men's physique. I didn't want to do that side of things anymore. I wanted to go more towards the pro route. What I would say the more serious route. So I spoke with that coach. He was honest. He was like, look, these are the guys I work with at that level, and they are enhanced athletes. Remember, I've been training for 12 years. I put in the work. I spoke to bodybuilders. I spoke to... I met another coach who recommended that I would have a good physique for men's physique. That pushed me on to making that next decision. And then I spoke to him about the enhanced route as well. And I'd know that I took it to the limit with what I could achieve naturally.
Like, I'll be honest here. When when we chatted about in the gym, I'm not from the bodybuilding world. I'm from the cardio world. So these sort of chats don't really come into my day-to-day conversation or something I'd even consider. But also, I had a life. My life started in the army. So when you get drug tested all the time in the army, by the time I finished my career in the army and got out, like steroids and those sort of chats, I knew so little about that life. And then it's only when I become a PT I started hearing about it more, because I started hanging around with bodybuilders and then people in the gym taking steroids and stuff. But other than that, it's never been like in my life at all where there's no way I can really even find out about it. But what I liked about when we chatted about it was you made the decision based on the feeling of you reached your genetic potential. There was no worrying about just trying to take a shortcut because you got a holiday coming up. There was no trying to go from zero to hero. It's like 12 years consistent training, where of course you've had a learning curve over the last 12 years and your training's adjusted a loads, but it's still 12 years of consistent training. You dialed in your nutrition to such a level of discipline that's as best as it can ever get. And with that, like tracking sleep, recovery, movement, you've done that side. And then by chatting to a few people, you then decided to make that decision. I kind of liked that approach, if there was going to ever be an approach to taking.
I didn't make the decision lightly.
Yeah.
It was an educated decision.
So you did that for how many competitions? So you enhanced for one competition, 2, 3?
2017, to 20.
I was going to say 27
no.
competitions. Right.
No, 2017 to 2019.
Right. Yeah.
So 2 years.
Right.
Well, tail end of 2016 when I decided that that's the route I was going to take. I took a year out to put on as much mass as I could.
Yeah.
So 2016/17 to 2019.
And then those competing years, you did well. You know, things
yeah. So I didn't place in my first men's physique show. I won my main category the following year at Two Bros men's in Hull in North England. I came second in the Open, and I came second in another category. I can't remember. I entered 3. I came second in a different federation a week later as well.
Good.
Yeah.
So then once you finished those comps, you started, then COVID kicked in, and then you was looking for a new gym setup anyway, right? So you're telling me like, you know, you're so consistent in your last job, there was the opportunity to not step back from work, but you was consistent in your work of what you're doing to then be able to dedicate the time to train, weren't you? And then since you moved to GymBox, you've just been focusing on your new business setup.
Oh yeah, so I was at my last PT job for near enough 10 years.
Yeah.
So I was well established there, dare I say comfortable.
Yeah.
So, you know, controlling your diet, so meal prepping, pushing through, obviously being fatigued from being in a strict calorie deficit, really focusing on training, needing to have training pretty much the same time every day, so you're consistent. All these things that you need to think about: posing, getting in time to pose, especially if I wanted to take it to the next level, which is classic physique. The posing is a whole different ball game. So these things need a lot of mental energy and time. And I could do that in my last job. But I've been at GymBox since December 2021, coming up for a year soon.
Ooh, yeah.
Not the right. It's gone quick. It's not the right time to. I hope so, but it's not the right time. Let's say at the moment to dive into something that requires so much focus.
Yeah, like, you know, the fatigue from training, like you said, calorie deficit and everything that goes with competing, to then worry about, you know, quite a demanding job, which PT is in so many different ways. It's a hard thing to balance. You need to have that side of your life set first before you can start adding on.
I need that side of my life set first, exactly.
Yeah, good. Okay, right. So that's you. So then, you know, this podcast started with the idea around I think I asked you, have you ever posted about steroids on TikTok and Instagram? And then we talked about like influencers and stuff, and the reason why people are sometimes not transparent. So let's talk about the industry. Like, why do you believe people? Because there's a lot of, like, we can see what's going on, but the average Joe definitely can't. So let's talk about transparency in the fitness industry. Why don't you think it's out there as much?
I think a lot of influencers don't want to disclose, not because there's shame behind it or anything like that, but I think they don't want to alienate followers and fans. I think ultimately it's a business decision. If you've got people following you, believing they can replicate your physique, you know, but you're enhanced and they're not, you know, imagine you turn around and say, guys, by the way, I'm taking this, that, and the other, and half your followers go, well, I'm not prepared to take that, so I'm out. I'm not buying your apps anymore.
But if the other half say but I guess it's a catch, isn't it? If the other half say I am keen, then they might be seen as a unqualified professional promoting something illegal.
Catch-22 as well. You can easily be seen as promoting it if you mention it. Because people look up to us. People look up to us, and you have to be careful.
None. Yeah,
absolutely.
Maybe
none.
just brand deals and whatever. Maybe might be frowned upon.
That's another one. losing sponsors. So it's a very tightrope walk kind of situation, which I understand the influencers are in. However, I've noticed a lot more nowadays being transparent about it. Mainly coaches, less the influencers of big names. But
when we were talking about it, is what you were getting slightly angry with at the time was the expectations people set, and then how many times, because it started with us talking about one of your clients, right, trying to get lean and stacked at the same time, and you was like, for God's sake, this is not how it works.
So most of the conversations with guys that come to me wanting aesthetic changes it's the same thing every time, is I want to get bigger and leaner at the same time. So now I've been doing this for long enough. I've educated myself. I've been, I know what is physiologically possible, and unless you're a complete beginner, you cannot build muscle in a calorie deficit. I know everyone's going to kick off. Okay, it cannot be done. Just put it to bed. You cannot unless you're an absolute beginner, you cannot put on muscle in a calorie deficit. But again, I'm proof of that. My first comp, my coach was tasked with getting me under 75 kilos. I lost muscle. I looked shredded. I looked great on stage, but I did lose muscle that I had built up naturally, and that was being coached by a pro, at my level. So,
while we're just talking about this, how would you? Let's go through. Someone as experienced you are in training. What is like your, how would you describe to somebody what is possible, realistic results, realistic timeframes? How would you explain that?
Very dependent on the person's commitment level, and I guess a fair amount of genetics to play there, and their starting point as well. But I say this to guys now. I say you don't want to spend any more than % of your year chasing a calorie deficit. The rest of the time you should be bulking up. And if you are, I say bulking up, but in a calorie surplus of some sorts, okay, to sustain an ever increasing level of intensity, progressive overload, tracking their lifts in order to build muscle, and then put on
it's a bit of a loaded question, I know.
But it's a half a kilo of body weight to a kilo of body weight gained per week. How much of that is fat? How much of that is muscle? I've got a client in mind now who's been training me 3 times a week since January, since February of this year. And I compare his photos to when he started at his previous PT studio to now. You can see the amount of size that he's put on, and that's 3 times a week, and being consistent, progressive overload. It's proper training routine, structured, and that's months long. It's a long game. It's a long game. Even with taking and being enhanced taking steroids, it's still a long game. I should just say, the clue should be for a lot of people regarding this whole, I want to get bigger and leaner. I don't want to bulk up. I don't want to get fat kind of thing. It's like even pro bodybuilders at the top level still have an off season where they bulk up, and those are pros. So if they're doing it and they're enhanced, there's the physiological side for you there. You got to be in a surplus.
So coming back to like taking steroids, taking performance enhancing drugs, or whatever that looks like, if you was to give advice and learnings to, because this podcast is for personal trainers. It's like a coach's corner, is a place PTs should come, learn about floor walking, learn about making sales consultations. And I started these podcasts because I thought we need to start having better subjects. I need to start having better conversations with experienced PTs about different subjects, and that's how we got into this. So this is for personal trainers. There will be normal clients, civilians watching this as well. Yeah, but let's just focus on personal trainers. If a personal trainer was considering taking steroids, what would be your advice and approach?
Well, take the way I handled it, which is, I feel was very, very good. I put in years of work first. I say you've got to at least have 5 years at least of training properly, consistently, as in you've educated yourself of how to become a bodybuilder. This what I think would be, unique to bodybuilding. I know there's performance enhancing drugs in all sports, underlying CrossFit, athletics, but I'm speaking from a bodybuilding perspective is, if it's to put on size and look like a bodybuilder, then you've got to have 5 years of bodybuilding training. Not you've been doing CrossFit for 3 years and then you decide you want to get massive and now, okay, let's jump on a cycle. No, you've got to put in the work first, ideally under a coach who is of a higher level than you. Get as far as you can naturally, and then ask yourself, what reason am I really doing this? I had my reason. I wanted to win medals in men's physique.
Yeah.
That was my reason.
So if you're not competing, what is your reason of, why do you want to do it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But by the time...
I would never judge anyone. I would never judge anyone. I would not judge a single individual harshly who's taking something to win. That's a controversial statement, but, you do need some level of justification there. Otherwise, I think you could be doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah. But there's a well thought out process. Make sure you're getting coached, and by the time you've been coached for 3, 4, 5 years,
5 years minimum. 5 years of putting in
consistent
training.
Work,
consistent training, including structuring your nutrition. And yes, consult with a coach, work with a coach
for at least a period.
Don't make the decision on your own. I had coaches who would also assist me with the enhanced side of things. I also hired a private physician as well. Last time I did it, to make sure I was healthy, my cardiovascular health, my blood work. So I didn't take it lightly.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I mean, that's like a sensible approach. What advice would you give trainers doing steroids? Make sure you've thought it through and there's a reason behind it. And then advice to clients, clients that have got holidays, weddings, this and that coming up, want to look good tomorrow, No.
I've had this discussion in my previous job with guys asking me, I was, no, you're not doing it. You're not gonna get any. Okay, if they go away and source it themselves and it's out of my hands, then I'll make sure that they're safe by directing them the right way. But in terms of if they're asking me, should I do it? No.
Because I guess if they've come to you with 5, 6, 10 years of experience in training, you're having a different conversation with them anyway. When you talk to a client, like a fresh new client, you need them to get realistic first, go through the process first, go through the training, put in the time first, progressive overload first. Good.
Had several. They weren't long-term clients. They wanted quick results, and they did bring it up. Do you know of any special supplements that can speed up the process quicker? I'm like, mate, just no.
I'm so fun about it. I wouldn't even know where to start of where you can get it from, unless there's a vending machine somewhere that I don't know about. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Secret vending machine, in some underground station somewhere.
Right, dude, we'll start summing up there. So the kind of the summary is, right, if you're going to do it, have guidance, have a reason to, have a plan. That'll probably be your takeaway from doing it, like, and your experience of doing it, like now you're natural and just cracking on, right? And
yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah,
It's worth noting, that I maintained. I was very happy with my physique that I maintained through 2020.
yeah,
Up until now.
yeah,
Of course, I lost size overall, but I
mm-hmm.
still continued to train hard, still track my lifts,
Yeah.
follow
Dead,
protocol, eat well.
Deadlift's pretty good at the moment.
Yeah. Eventually got
Dead.
to like 230.
Yeah, those dizzy heights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Cool.
it's definitely not something you have to stay on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you handle it properly, you will be net up in muscle. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, good. Okay. So have guidance, have a reason, have a plan. Right. Thank you, mate. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for being open about that. How I think it'd be good, like, if somebody wants to talk more about this, don't bloody talk to me. Go and talk to you because I'm not the right person to ask questions like. But there'll be somebody that watches this episode that are quite keen to find out more, or need advice or whatever. You're a good person to go chat to if they've listened, if they took half an hour. So how do people find you?
Instagram. DM me or Instagram. Seth84 London.
Right.
Is my Instagram.
Yeah.
DM me. Open to chatting with anyone.
You're doing all right.
I am not a TikTok. Yeah. Not really DMs anyone on TikTok, I don't think.
Oh, right.
They always go to Instagram and then find you that way. But yeah, just guys, remember, I am not a trained physician, so I cannot give you advice. I cannot give somebody advice on steroids. I'm not a medical professional, but I can give my account.
Yeah.
And they can take from that what they will.
It's just if someone wants to find out a bit more about this, I just thought we'll jump on and mainly to talk about like things like influencers, why people are not transparent, and the transparency, like you said earlier, is the fact of potentially affecting business, potentially look like you're promoting something illegal, and that's where our conversation went. But okay, so if you want to find Seth, I'll put his Instagram somewhere wherever you're watching this. You'll easily be able to find it, and just feel free to message him.
To find.
Yeah. Good. All right, mate. Well, thanks for being on. Thanks, everyone, for watching this episode of Coach's Corner. I'll be back next week with another episode with somebody else, and we'll dive into another subject. If there's anything you want me to look into or to talk about, then please just message me, and I'll find a relevant person. Or if you want to be a guest and you feel you're good enough to come on, then just drop me a message, and we'll get you on. If something that's kind of live on my page, I did a webinar series back in September in a private Facebook group. I did 3 lessons, one on running consultations, one on floor walking, and one on getting organised. Those are 3 1-hour lessons that are up and available on the Facebook group. So if you go into the links in my bio, you can easily join that and jump on. I'm just going to leave them available on replay because I've had some pretty good feedback from them. So if you're looking for a bit of advice in running your consultations or floor walking, then jump into the 3 webinars. Right, thanks, Seth. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week. Thank you. Bye-bye.